Recorded live from the dungeon, this is the Dream Warrior Review, and I'm Kurt Thomas.
And coming at you live from the hills of Tennessee, straight from his Tennessee Hyundai,
I'm Mick Strawn.
Mick Strawn.
Yeah?
Boom, boom, boom. Oh, hey, what's up? I was just jamming to the wonderful Skype music.
Yes.
Isn't it beautiful?
It's a treat, isn't it?
Yes. At least we're not using Zoom because we might have some high school kids interrupt us. Which actually, I would love that.
I was going to say, come on. So, how's your Armageddon?
Busy. No, I'm actually busier. I'm so tired of hearing people say, I'm bored. And the commercials like, if you're bored during this pandemic, well, you'll watch streaming and the blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I barely have time to like scratch my nose, which I can't do anyway until I wash my hands.
That's right. Exactly.
But yes, with the kids home and my wife and I splitting the days, and then, it's been crazy.
And you're trying to get food around, right?
Yes, and getting food to children at my job because I work for a food bank.
Oh.
Which actually, maybe we should just go right into that movie that relates very well to food supply.
Oh, boy. Yes, it does.
Should I read the description since we haven't done it for a long time?
You might as well do that. Go for it.
Okay.
A vertical prison with 1 cell per level, 2 people per cell, only 1 food platform, and 2 minutes per day to feed up and down. An endless nightmare.
Trapped in the hole. Anyway, that was a horrible description, but that's what they have on IMDb.
Yes, but as a concept for the film, it's also a pretty horrible idea.
Well, I felt good about this when I first found it because I was like, oh, that looks like The Cube, which I really like The Cube.
Right, exactly, right? That's what I thought. I thought, ooh, this could be as clever as The Cube.
Right, but obviously it wasn't.
It wasn't. Basically, I don't know exactly what they were trying to prove because first of all, the concept is flawed in every possible way.
Yeah. Well, I think this for me, okay, I guess maybe because I work for a food bank, but for me, it was all the message is more important than the plot. And one thing it's like, I like to connect it to present day, like. So I felt like I liked it more because of that. Yeah. Because, you see all these people hoarding at the grocery stores and then, your best friend's grandma's dying because she can't find any chicken or whatever it is.
Right.
And so the food supply is definitely screwed up, and it affects the food bank where I work because if the grocery stores are empty, then they don't have any food to give to the food banks, for example. So it affects our food too, and it affects food for people that need it.
Well, what it does is it looks at the psychological underpinnings of generosity.
Yes.
What you're going to do with your fellow man, or as they say in this film, just piss on him.
Exactly. So did you see that Gal Gadot video where she did like Imagine All the People?
No,
Well, she sang the song, the Imagine song, but of course one of the lines irritated a bunch of people because it's, imagine there's no heaven, which is probably a bad time to say that. But so these comedians got together and did like a spoof of it. And I think Jeffrey Ross, one of his lines in it was, I bought up all the hand sanitizer just to wash my car. So, it's psychologically disturbing to think about this movie in connection to what's going on right now.
Right. It's funny because this and the pandemic and all the rest of that I love the way that we're talking about how this is unprecedented when it actually is predicted off of the 1919
right. Yeah.
And you know what? And you know what they called that at that time?
The Spanish flu?
They called it the Spanish flu, but they called it the 100-year epidemic.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was called because there was another pandemic in 1818, and it has been they call these 100-year epidemics.
Wow, I didn't know that. Huh.
Yeah.
I guess every 100 years. That's weird.
Yeah. So I guess that's just exactly how long our memories are for these things.
Well, do you know why they call it the Spanish flu? Which, people don't really realize why they call it the Spanish flu. It's because the president at the time lied about it.
Yes, that's right.
Spain was the only one that, basically put out the truth in the news.
Right. So, so I guess I guess we're not all that different.
No, definitely not.
No,
we should call this the Trump pandemic.
We ought to. Jesus. So
anyway, back to the movie.
Back to the movie.
I mean, my overall thought was that it was confusing. I mean, the ending was confusing, and I said to myself, that was really lame. There were a lot of plot holes in this. They should recall it the Swiss cheese.
Well, here's the thing.
Instead of the platform.
Here's the thing. It could only go into one dimension, and that one dimension is an ethereal teaching point. I mean, because that's the only place that such a flawed creation can go to, because it doesn't mean anything in the end.
I think I've said this before. This would be the perfect Twilight Zone 30-minute episode, or
exactly
Black Mirror or whatever.
That's another thing is brevity could have improved this by a half an hour.
Right, exactly. Oh, and also the translation. So I started watching just to hear the first 10 minutes. I listened to the original voice track in basically in the original language.
Right,
and then I switched over to English, but I noticed that the subtitles didn't match the English, and sometimes the subtitles were a lot better. So I think the screenplay might have been better before they translated it.
I was having trouble because after a while I'd sped this thing up to the point to where I could barely even read the subtitles.
Right.
But
I thought the actors were good in this, though. I mean, that's one thing that it had going for it, was the actors were good.
Yeah.
Especially the main guy.
Yeah. And here's the thing. Have you also noticed this? Is it looked good?
Yes.
Here's the thing that I have noticed lately. Films don't seem to not look good anymore, because it's so much easier to make them look good.
Right. Yes. People aren't really thinking about that when they shoot it.
Yeah, you can do. It is so much harder these days to make something that catches your imagination.
Right. Well, I mean, not just that. I think the best cinematographers are ones that actually have done still photography or have taken classes on how to properly shoot just photos.
But even that, here's the thing. Even that, it is so much easier to just expose your sets and your lights and stuff, because you can see everything right there.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there is an inescapable. It's created a certain blandness to everything that it reminds me of this in guitar. Right now, the thing is the level of guitar work overall is so high, because the education, and you can look at other people playing guitar licks and all the rest of that what it has done is it has made people that have a style on a guitar to be incredibly rare.
Yes, there's taking the soul out of it. Yeah. That's me sucking the soul out of this movie.
Exactly. That's and this is a good example of it. Certainly there were so many competent things going on. The look of it was competent. The effects were very competent. There was just nothing here that you wouldn't do as a Blumhouse film,
right.
as a cheap bottom line Blumhouse film.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, one thing that would have helped this,
and I had to freaking read through it.
Exactly. Well, I know.
It was like,
when I started watching, I'm like,
that's
uh-oh.
That's.
I said, uh-oh, Mick's gonna be annoyed with this. Oh, one thing I wanted to say about this was one thing that would have helped a great deal, which I think would help the cube, was that there was a lot of practical like background effects. Like okay, when they showed a shot of the going up and down, especially up, it looked really flat, like it was just a picture. Yeah. Like it was just a background picture. But like if they would have actually used like a model for that or something, I think that would have been a lot better. I'm not sure how they would pull that off, though. I mean, you know more than I do, but I had just thought it looked really lame. I was like, well, that's not really realistic looking.
Yeah, that's...
I mean, once you get past like 2 or 3 levels, it was like just flat.
Well, the question that I had there was this, is if you weren't going to do it all that well, if you weren't going to do it interestingly, why do it at all? Because it certainly didn't need it.
Right.
Because it was already boring as a lot as it was.
I did like when they were descending. I'm not going to give too much away as people watch it, but when they were descending and they could see different states of things happening.
That was kind of interesting, because it started to tell a broader story.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there was no setup for this. There was no background. There was nothing.
And they were trying to put a setup to it, which,
at the end,
which was kind of funny. The part with them checking his dietary preferences.
Yes, yeah.
That was kind of funny, but at the same time, the Spanish doing utopianism is a little too on the nose.
Exactly. Well, I think and then you could take one thing with you, and I'm like, I think what my one thing would be I would just take my computer so I can edit video and audio.
Yeah, that's right.
Then I can be busy, so I'm not hungry.
Yeah, but and they could have done so much more with like what you could have brought with you.
Yeah, like using him as a prop. Like they used him at some point. Like I mean, there was one guy that used the prop, the thing he brought with him, pretty well.
Yeah. Well, you know what I really liked is I liked that when they were just going down, that there was somebody who had obviously used the force of the device going up and down to cut themselves in half.
Yes.
And I had to appreciate that to a certain extent.
Yeah. Well, I also obviously like that one thing that guy had that he obviously was able to use later.
Right. Yeah, it was. I
don't know. I wasn't excited. I didn't think it was horrible.
And then at the very end, it got so European.
Yes.
Didn't it? It had a purely European end. It had a Fellini-esque kind of kind of end. Yeah.
Well, the acting, even the acting style.
Everybody walk away, Fine.
Yeah.
That was like, no.
Yeah. Did you know that the word obviously was used 26 times?
Well, obviously. So, I am going to rate this a little bit low. I'm going to go 2.1.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, here's the interesting little thing that in the trivia section on IMDb. The food floating platform stays 2 minutes per level. Since the pit has 333 levels, not counting level 0 where the food is left for its descent, floating platform lasts 666 minutes. 11 hours, 6 minutes from the surface to the bottom. This doesn't take into account the time spent traveling up from level to level, or traveling from level to level. So just the fact that they broke it down to 666 makes me want to give it a 2.2. Because I kind of agree with you. It's like it's kind of slightly below average.
Yeah.
And I kind of, I watched it. I probably would have liked it better if it was shot like if it was shot in English language and it had a better screenplay. I might like it more. I don't know. I think there was some loss in translation is what I'm trying to say. So it might be a 2.5 or 2.6 at the end, but I'm going to stick with 2.2.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I just, there was a stage play-ish quality to it that was completely missing from the Cube. The thing that I
Yes.
can say about the Cube that I really enjoyed is that the Cube could have seemed very much like a play,
Yeah.
and it didn't.
Well, yeah, but the cube was similar in some ways because you had like teams of people, like people pairing up in the cube to help each other and stuff. But it wasn't. It was more like a plot device than it was.
Right.
They were just standing around talking, like they were in this one.
Yeah, and I don't know what they were trying to say about humanity in this one. You know.
Well, if I saw this, as a stage play, I would actually probably like it.
Yeah, well, you know, if I saw this as a play, let's put it this way. This would be highly rated on the stage plays that I wouldn't go see because I don't go see stage plays. So I think it would have done really well as a stage play because I wouldn't have had to have seen it.
Well, imagine as a Broadway show. Please share the food. How great would that be?
Andrew Lloyd Webber sings. Yeah, it's been done. It's called Maratsad? No, what is the one, the French one?
Oh boy, I don't know my Broadway shows that well.
Yeah, well, anyway.
It's
Cats.
something.
No. It's Cats, that's what it is. Yeah, except for these people all had assholes.
I actually like Cats. I'm one of the weird people that went to see Cats like probably 2 times as a younger
what's that all
person.
about?
I saw it once as an
You
adult.
mean the play?
Yeah,
Have you
the
seen-
Broadway show.
How about the movie?
No, I didn't see the movie. I saw the trailer and said that looks absolutely horrible. I'll wait and see what people say about it. and I have no interest
Nobody
in seeing
said
it.
anything nice.
Well, even James Corden apologized for it. He's like, "Yeah, sorry guys."
Sorry, guys. Well, what I thought was really funny about that is that there's everybody is looking for the cut that has the assholes in it. But you know what? There are people that want to see it, you know, the cut with the assholes. Right. There's another cut that I want to see. I want to see a cut that's just the assholes.
There you go.
Just the assholes. That's all I want to see on the screen.
Would that be Cat's
And
holes?
with the yes, with the dialogue and everything. I mean, that would be hilarious. Because if you took them out, where did they go? I want to see. That's the show that I want to see. I want to see the show that's just assholes.
Well, there's actually a lot of shows out there that just are just assholes. Especially on Fox
It's called
News.
The Walking Dead.
Right. Well, I said Fox News. You said Walking Dead.
Yeah, Walking Dead. Boy, that was a big turnaround for us there.
Actually, I think The Talking Dead is probably worse than The Walking Dead.
Yeah, well, there you go. Oh, yeah, that's right. Fox News, The Talking Dead. Yeah.
They should have a show. They should have a show that reviews the Fox show and talks about what they said.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. I should be making Fox News because I think they're reporting kind of more real news right now, which is shocking.
Yes, they're kind of actually. Well, the thing is it kind of makes a difference now because if you report just what Trump says, eventually you're going to kill off everybody that watches Fox News.
Right. Yep.
You ever thought about that?
So Bubba, and Clint, please calm down. We still want you as a fan, but we just might think differently politically, but we still want to entertain you with our show.
Right,
Sorry, I felt there was some tension out there, so I wanted to say something.
Bwah, bwah, bwah. So anyway, let's see. Is that it?
Yeah, well, for this one, I think so.
Yeah. Let's move on.
That was easy. Thanks for joining us on the Dream Warrior Review podcast. Don't forget to tell your friends about us, follow us, and, of course, like us. We can be found on Podbean, which is an amazing app, YouTube, Stitcher, Alexa on any pod, iTunes, Google Play. We're on Twitter as well, at DW Review, and, of course, Facebook. You can find us there. You can also email us at dreamwarriorreview@gmail.com.